Now that you're in the game and you get drafted by this team, Detroit Lions, bad football team. Bad. We can't even tiptoe around it. Listen, I served my
We look forward to playing the Lions when we was in the league.
I look forward to playing them, and I played with Cincinnati.
Everybody did. Everybody came in there like, oh, yeah, we're going to get this dub today. And
So-
y'all know it.
But, you talk about Sean, and the reason why I bring this up, because he challenged you and he said, you know what, do you want to be great? And he asked you several times because I'm taking it that he already knew what the culture was in that Detroit Lions locker room. He knew what the culture was inside of that coaching staff. He knew the lack of leadership. How did you stay focused? What kept you going to where you said, I'm not going to allow the culture to become a part of me?
Let's go behind the mask.
Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Mask podcast. I'm your host, Takeo Spikes. Shout out to the co-host over there, Tutan.
Your favorite plus-size model.
There you go. And two, we got to say this again, but we have another special guest. Calvin Johnson, future Hall of Famer. He accomplished a lot, but we got to go behind the mask and find out the real nitty-gritty.
Yeah, all right, cool.
CJ, you ready?
Ready.
Let me introduce. Let me reset everything because people need to know, the greatness. We're not gonna just sleep on the greatness. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All Pro, second team All Pro. All Pro is All Pro, so I don't care about first and second team. 2 times you led the NFL in receiving yards, All Rookie team. Led the league in receptions. In college, you won the Biletnikoff Award for the best receiver in the nation. ACC Player of the Year from the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. All-American there. And last but not least, is one of my favorite records that you hold. The all-time yards in a season at 1,964. Dang. That's amazing, bro. Give it up for this man, CJ in the building, man.
Johnson, man. Welcome to Studio 51, man.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here. Yeah, good to be here.
Hey, we know you're out of the game, and we know what you've been doing. But when we take a snapshot of what you've done and what you've accomplished over the years, do you really think much about you know what? I just miss playing the game because I accomplished so much within a short period of time, and you only played 9 years. Well, 9 years is not necessarily short, but you walked away on your own terms, which a lot of guys don't do.
Right. Get the question a lot, man. I think for me, at the end of the day, it all came down to how I felt, how I was personally, and how my body felt had a lot to do with how I felt as a player. And I felt that if I couldn't put my best product, put the best version of myself out there on the field and put it out there for my team to benefit from, if I couldn't be that guy, I had no business being out there. That was, but other than a couple other goals that I had set for myself coming into the league, that was one of the things I told myself. I'm not going to be out here just, collecting the check. If I can't do it great at the greatest level, I ain't got no business out there.
But your worst season, and saying that loosely, your worst season was 756 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's some players' best season in the league, and that was your rookie year. Mm-hmm. You talking about you didn't feel like you can do it anymore. Your last year, 1,214 yards, 9 touchdowns. You, as Spike said, you walked away on your own accord.
Yeah.
Dropped the mic on him. And you felt like you couldn't do it no more?
Body, the passion wasn't there anymore. When the body hurt so much, when the swellings in the knees and ankles so much that I can't dig and run like I want to and separate like I want to, it just wasn't, the passion wasn't there.
But 12-14, bro,
I can go out there. I can go out there and stand and catch balls all day. But
I can't fathom
to put all the work in to get to that point, to the season and to keep doing that over. I remember after my 8th season, I went and told my dad, I was like, I think I'm done. I'm going to hang him up after my 8th season. We're sitting down in Tyrone, Georgia on this couch, and he's sitting across from me right there. And he was just like, he asked me, you think you could do it again? And I sit there and pause. And before I could say anything, he's like, since you ain't say nothing, since you paused, you could do it again. So I was like, okay, all right. I'm going to go out here and do it one more time. And that was going into my 9th year. And obviously, I retired after that. But before then, I had goals. I wanted to play. My goal was to play 10 years, have 10,000 yards. I feel like if I was able to do those things, I'll be able to have a decent impact on the league. And I was able to do all those things in 8 years. And so I came back for the 9th just to just because I knew I could do it one more time. But I love the game, but that the fire wasn't there because it's hard to have that fire past the pain. To get past the pain and then to be able to go out there and put the practice in, put the time in that you need to put in. I wasn't even able to do those things. I'm riding a bike every week, all week I'm just playing on Sundays pretty much, and it's just, for me, mentally, didn't feel right, wasn't right. I didn't have my win. There's a lot of things that go into it, winning, not lack of winning, that goes into it, so, but like I said, just the pain and all those things, it just takes the fire away from it, and I just didn't, not that I didn't love it, but the love wasn't there like it was. It was just a job at that point. And, I was already thinking, like, okay, what's next?
Before we extend on that, you talk about the passion of the game. And a lot of times people just see the end result, what you do in the NFL. Talk about what really sparked your passion at a young age to play the game of football.
Yep. I wanted to play football. So I grew up playing in Fairburn and Duncan Park in Fairburn, Georgia. Fairburn Flames. It's Eric Berry. He donated a lot to that park. He grew up playing football there. The Fairburn Flames, they're orange and blue. Coolest uniform. I just wanted to play because the uniforms was just fire. I'll be leaving baseball practice, and you see them out there with the orange flames on the helmet, the blue helmet, and whatnot. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, Mom. I want to play. Mom was like, no, you're not playing. You're too little. Mom didn't let me play till I got to 7th grade. Finally was able to play. I played running back. I didn't hit my growth spurt yet in middle school. Played DB and running back. I didn't play too much running back. I played a little bit of DB because I was still young in the game. And I went to high school, hit a growth spurt. They moved me over to receiver. And then I had a coach when I was after my rookie year. They called me Butterfingers.
Why they call you Butterfingers?
Not my rookie year, but my freshman year.
Freshman year.
Because I couldn't catch a cold. Like, it was
Man, stop,
well,
man.
I could catch. I have some good plays, but then I would drop a lot of balls, though. So, all I did that offseason was work on catching the ball. They had a little thing you tie to a fence, throw the ball away from you to come back 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
But, from that, it's just having those kind of things happen. People like Butterfingers, okay, you a high school kid, those impressions, they leave impact, So I'm like, okay, this can't happen. I can't be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy. Ain't nobody going to be like, hey, you Butterfingers. No, I got to be great. So I think that was part of it. And then I had a coach, that came to me the following year after my junior year. And, he kind of breathed confidence into me. He was like, I believe in you. I know you. Because he told me where he could see me. I'm like, I couldn't see myself there. So hearing that from him, those things, he just literally breathed confidence into me. Kind of gave me a little vision. Your parents do this stuff every day, but when you hear it from somebody else, it kind of makes sense. But that's kind of where that drive. Not to mention, I didn't even mention my parents. They're growing up. My mom's an educator. Right. That's why I went to Georgia Tech, because I thought I could get the best education over Georgia, get a job anywhere afterwards. Not thinking about what football could do. Just being realistic, trying to be.
Me hearing the story though, and you saying, you know what, I really didn't want to play the game, but you was like, I played because of the uniforms.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, I just wanted to play because it was cool. It looked cool.
And see, now, when you think about college, you think about who has the flyest uniforms in college? Oregon, on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised, like, okay, Oregon didn't even have a shot.
No. By that point, it was more about I loved the game, because at that point, baseball was my love growing up. I loved baseball. I was good at baseball. And when I got to high school and football started to turn like that sophomore year, going to that junior year, and I started to see an avenue, maybe just this is going to get me a scholarship. My parents, I got to pay for school. Good. It took baseball kind of went to the side. Baseball was my thing. I was really good in baseball, and that kind of fell to the side, and football just took over, because I love football as a team sport. I love the camaraderie and the grind behind it. And I love the grind because that's all my parents did. They grind from when we were kids. So my dad, he worked on the railroad. My mom was an educator. They had those jobs growing up, and they worked all the time. So I knew there wasn't no choice. You got to work for what you want.
Absolutely. So how'd you go from Butterfingers to the Belitnikov Award to Megatron, like these larger than life?
That's
like kids. I don't know if you realize this, man. Kids look up to you in terms of what and who you were on and off the field. That's amazing. They even got DK Metcalf, my nephew now, at Seattle.
Yeah.
They call him,
Baller.
Megatron. Yeah, you know. So how does it feel? How was it going from Butterfingers to Megatron, and how does it feel now? Leaving that on the game.
Just seeing that manifestation, the hard work, it just kind of showed me right away that, okay, from high school, if I go and put the work in, I'm going to see results. So I just take that mindset just more emboldened now. So if you're just able to add a little bit of, sprinkle a little bit of talent on top of that hard work, then you could do, supernatural things. Yeah. You sprinkle a little God into that mixture, you get a little faith into that mixture, you like Superman out there, and so all those things weren't there at first, those were picked up over time, the discipline, the faith in my life, those were picked up over the time in college, leading up to the Blitnikoff and stuff like that. And I kind of had those tools going into the league, but I was still raw. So I got to the league, I had a great coach in Sean Jefferson, he approached me for day one, he's like, you want to be great? I'm like, yeah, of course, He asked me again, though, for real, you want to be great? I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm going to coach you like you want to be great. And every day, non-relentless, if I didn't want to do it, he's yelling me in the shake, like getting on me, it was that kind of constant, the values that were put in front of me from the people that I loved and respected the most, that helped me, that I learned from, that were ingrained in me, that helped me to get to the point where I am today.
Who'd you look up to as a young receiver in the game?
Oh yeah, I looked up to Randy Moss. Of course, I want to Moss some folks. I looked up. I love T.O. because he was like a train out there. I loved. Back in the day. Of course, you loving Jerry. Deion Sanders was my guy. I love Deion. Just Deion. Played baseball, played football. I wanted to do that when I was a kid. But receiver wise, it was Randy. It was T.O. Primarily. I wanted to be and a little bit of Chris Carter because of the hands. You got the hands, you got the big playability, and you got the thoroughbred out there. T.O. just running all day, making plays. And I wanted to be the best of all those three things. Just the best of what you think about, the best aspects of a receiver. I want to have the hands. I want to have the big playability. I want to be able to run my routes, be crispy. I want to be durable. I just want to put all those things into one package, and that's what I try to do.
You talked about Sean Jefferson being your coach. He was a good wide receiver in the National Football League. Definitely left his mark. I remember him and also playing against him. But when you were drafted in, 07, first round pick, number 2 pick overall, you coming into the game with so much greatness, people have so many high expectations for you. Now that you're in the game and you get drafted by this team, Detroit Lions, bad football team, bad. We can't even tiptoe around it. Listen, I served my.
We look forward to playing the Lions when we was in the league.
I look forward to playing them, and I played with Cincinnati.
Everybody did. Everybody came in there like, oh yeah, we're gonna get this dub today. Y'all know it.
But you talk about Sean, and the reason why I bring this up because he challenged you and he said, you know what? Do you want to be great? And he asked you several times because I'm taking it that he already knew what the culture was in that Detroit Lions locker room. He knew what the culture was inside of that coaching staff. He knew the lack of leadership that they could let spread down onto the players. When you walked into that locker room understanding and knowing you did not know what you didn't know that first year, how did you stay focused? What kept you going to where you said, I'm not going to allow the culture to become a part of me?
A lot of it did have to do with Sean J and him pushing me every day, but a lot of that has to do with what you got inside. For me, one of the things is that we all know is the eye in the sky don't lie. That product you putting out there is for everybody to see. And I'll be damned if you see me out there loafing and bullshitting on the play. I'm going to go out there and give you my best every play. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I didn't want anybody to see me, out there. I didn't want to have anybody – put it like this. I feel like every time you turn on that film, it's like a first-time impression. And you want to make a good first-time impression to everybody. So that's why you couldn't lack on any – not one down. And then I think that a lot of that, Sean helped instill a lot of that in me, and the whole upbringing contributed to that.
Mom and pops, right?
To that point, you say you played with Sean. I'm like, dog, you old, bro. You played with Sean? I was like, dang, man.
I played against Sean. I guess I'm still though.
You age yourself. I'm like, dang, Sean like 50.
I remember playing against him. I want to say he's probably
older than you.
Yeah. I came in, 98? Don't be trying to call me old, dog.
Oh man. So, you was at you were with the Lions your whole career, and I know you get the comparisons all the time of another Detroit Lion all-time great, Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah.
Incredible talent, early draft picks. You guys both played your entire career with the Lions, and you both left on your own accord. Do you agree with the comparisons? Do you think that you guys are different, or?
I honestly haven't talked to Barry about it, and I'm sure one day we will be able to have that sit down. But I talked to other players, and I talked to other players that played around Barry, and they didn't say anything about Barry, but I have their true opinion. They said, like, man, if we were able to do what you do, if we were in your shoes, if we were able to be in the position that you're in, we would have walked away too. And I hear that from multiple guys that played on the team, that played in the Lions. And I believe in one. I believe him because I started doing a little consulting when I retired. And I love the game. I wanted to go around and pour into some receivers, so I was able to go around to a couple different teams. And first things, I go to a different team. I'm like, whoa, this is how you should take care of your players. I go to Miami. It ain't like Miami's winning, but they're taking care of their players. They're giving it back to their players. I go to different teams like Oakland. I see the things they have for their players. I'm like, damn, we don't have none of this in Detroit.
For an example, like, what didn't you have? Like, give us some comparison, because I have some stories too with Cincinnati, but I would love to hear your stories with Detroit.
More so, you think about this is the business. You would think that they want to keep their players in the most tip-top shape, and I don't want to crap on anybody that was like in the kitchens or nothing like that at the facility. But I just see the nutrition plans that they have. This is a $1 billion organization. These guys are making a whole lot of money. Why are you not helping these guys put the right stuff in their body? They're just coming out of college. They might not know exactly. They might not be a nutritionist, So why are you not doing everything in your power to make sure that you get the best product, the best things out of your players? And I see that at other organizations. Not to say the Lions aren't doing some things, but they're not doing everything. And if you're a $1 billion organization, and you can considerably get much more if you win. Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
But they run a Ford company. That's probably their first priority.
It may be.
They're about saving the dollars. So that's probably, they take the same mindset to this, but this is about this. There's people involved here. So
yeah,
if you want to get the best out of those people, you got to love on them a little bit.
Yeah, and I think anything you do, everything starts with, customer service when you look at the fans, but you got to look at your product, what's going to be entertaining the fans. I remember in Cincinnati, you talk about the lack of not having. I remember I walked into Cincinnati and they asked, they was like, go see Tom Gray, get all your stuff. And I'm like, all right. So I go to the window. Tom throws me a pair of socks, jockstrap, T-shirt. Back then, we were wearing the grays. We wear grays to get in the hot tub as you get later in the 2000s, but late 90s, man, grays, they were your shorts.
They were your drawers.
Yeah.
Big man like me. So, okay, too. You making some good money. You need to start wearing that team issue. Start wearing them grays to the house.
Yeah, but to my point, it's like, what's the standard? Yo, cheap ass. How you gonna be? I bet your whole underwear drawer was grays.
Grays, man. Straight grays.
With the shield, them little grays with the shield on it. Oh, man.
But let me tell you about Tom, though. He don't have the audacity to give me a jockstrap that was used. Not even lying.
Damn.
Listen, I ain't trying to crap on nobody, but we gonna tell the truth on Behind the Mask. Because there's one rule on Behind the Mask.
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
All right.
And so he gave me a jockstrap without, it was like dingy. And I'm like, man, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? So from that point, I never wore a jockstrap my entire year playing. Period.
Yeah.
Like my entire career, I always wore tights, from that. So I get what you're saying when you say, you know what? In order to get the best out of your guys, you got to be able to provide them with something to be able to take them to the next level. One of your teammates, John Kittner, he was also my teammate as well. John was a guy who we played together in Cincinnati, quarterback. He would call it like he saw it. And if he felt like things were not going in the right direction, not only would he let you know as a player, but he would tell coaches and make 100%. Sure that it got up to the upper management. I know you had some type of experience with John.
Hilarious.
Talk about that, like some of the things, or one of the things that you remember from him that really opened up everybody's eyes.
John's a great leader. Loved having him. I wish I could have played with him more. Wish I had the time to be around him. He's a spiritual leader. You know, we had Bible study at his house every Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday during the season. So going into the 0-16 season, prior to any of this happening, everybody thought we were going to be decent because we had a decent year the year before. Nothing great. Maybe won 7 games or 8 games. You know, that was decent in Detroit.
Yeah.
That was good in Detroit at the time. In comparison to the following year. Long story short, we went into the season with 2 coordinators, a running game coordinator and a passing game coordinator. So didn't really maybe see eye to eye. And literally one big team meeting, John got up in the middle of the meeting. I don't remember exactly what was going on. Obviously something he didn't like. And he walked out of the meeting, and halfway out the team meeting room, he turned and said, "We won't win a damn game if we go into the season with this plan." Long story short, a week later, John Kidman got traded to Dallas along with Roy Williams, who before the season, they called me and Roy into the office like, if we're gonna do anything here, it's gonna be on you two guys' shoulders. I'm like, shit, now it's just me.
I'm only as good as the guy throwing me the ball.
Yeah, he got rid of Kidney, he got rid of Roy Williams, so now it's just me there, and we went on 16 that year. I still had a really good year. Didn't get a sniff at the Pro Bowl, even though I had better numbers than some people. But we went on 16, so you don't win a game. I kind of get that. But long story short, I mean, he literally called it. He called it. You're not gonna win a game if you go into the season with this plan. And we didn't win one game that year. I really thought my future in the NFL was really bleak at the time. I didn't know how much longer I wanted to play because it's just not a good culture.
And that was in 08, right?
Second year, yep.
But let me tell you this. Let me give you a little nugget. I'm not even sure if you knew this. In 07, I finished my year with Philadelphia. Came off a rotator cuff injury. I was trying to see where I was going to play next. So they flew I think it was Matt Millen.
Yeah.
He flew me to Detroit. And it was out of San Francisco and Detroit. And I went and took a visit. Rob Marinelli was the head coach.
Yep.
And he brought me down and he sat me down. What was y'all record that first year? Your first year?
I feel like we went we were like either 6 or 7. I feel like we might have been 7 and whatever's left, 9.
Disappointing at the end of the day.
But it's so disappointing because we won like 5 or 6 games in the first half of the season and lost out.
Yeah.
So we literally, instead of going 0-16, we kind of had before that, another 5 or 6 games that we lost before that. So it was bad.
Yeah, so I came in there and I'm talking with Rob Marinelli and Rob was like, "Hey, Takeo, you know what? We're going to change the culture around here. We're going to do everything different." I'm like, "Okay, I believe in you. You. Still waiting on you to sell me on the team."
It was, yes.
And then he told me, he said, "You know what? Now, we just can't have you to come in here and you just don't automatically start. You got to compete for a job."
What?
You trying to... I'm not rhyming on no whack beat. I'm not coming to Detroit. Who do you think you talking to? I say, nah, man, listen. I understand that you got to play, but I accomplished a lot in this league. And you telling me I got to come to the Detroit Lions? Long story short, I say, you know what, Coach, I appreciate that opportunity to sit down and speak with you. I think highly of you, but I'm going to take my talents over here to the West Coast, to the 49ers. Lo and behold, that same year, what were y'all record?
0-16.
0-16. You talk about somebody dodging a bullet. I had on a flak jacket, boy. My goodness.
Proof on that joint. Man.
And to your point, man, Rod, great guy. I love Rod, man. He's still doing his thing with Dallas, but it's just the people around, man. Just not everybody was the right people.
What would you tell the young stars in the league now how to deal with that adversity or the unfavorable circumstances? And I ask you that because you see some of the players now, like AB, anytime something goes wrong or doesn't go in their favor, they hop on social media and start thumb wrestling. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everything's out in the media. You weren't like that. So what would you...
Yeah, I got a reason why I wasn't like that.
What's the reason? And what would you tell some of the young players now that are going through unfavorable situations?
100%. My reason for it, when I was in college, social media was kind of on that, Facebook and all that stuff was out, whatever, MySpace,
You was on that MySpace, though.
Yeah, you know it.
What was your handle? What was your
burnt? It got me so, I don't even remember my handle. But it got me burnt, in relationships, so I was very bad. So from that point on, I was like, okay, forget social media. I can't stand it. It's the worst.
You wasn't good at it.
That
trying to send messages to the public.
Ooh, CJ trying to holler at her.
Exactly. I got in too much trouble on social media, so From that point on, I mean, I understand it's a necessary evil, but it could be good for your business if you're doing the right things with your business. And to that point, guys got to understand that they are a business. Your body is your business when you're in the NFL, but you got to conduct yourself as you're the CEO of that thing, and you can't have any BS come through there because it affects your business. And at the end of the day, if that affects your business, you losing money. Yeah. So you're trying to get, I mean, being on a team like Detroit, I learned that, okay, I understand that we're not winning right here, so I'm just going to be the best I can, be the best version of myself for my team, so I can put myself in the best situation to take care of my family. You know, because I might not win no Super Bowl ring while I'm here, so at least I'm going to do that. I'm going to set myself up and be the best that I can be the best version of myself, and that goes from how I get up, how I train, how I eat, how I take care of my body. And that's why I tell the young guys, treat yourself like a business. Don't be putting BS out there because that stuff does not go away. Once it's out there, it's going to affect you down the line. You see guys don't get, people, not the guys, but people in general lose job opportunities because of BS they might have said on social media. So, as far as that goes, just be smart and use it as a benefit to you for your brand.
Bro, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, when you look at what we do, like, we are brands. Mm-hmm. And in order to take advantage of your brand, you have to go out and play at a high level in order to get or reap the rewards that you earned. In 2012, you signed a $132 million contract. $60 million guaranteed. That contract ran until 2019. You retired. You decided to walk away from the game in 2015. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think about when I got the bag like that, like, you got to kick me out the game. I ain't giving them folk nothing back, bro.
They did kick you out.
Well, they did. They did kick me. Yeah, you're right. We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, that's another episode. So, like, a lot of times, like, when people don't have, or they haven't had the experience of having, and walked a step in your shoes, of course, they're going to have their opinions. Like, what led to you saying, enough is enough? I don't care how much money you paying me.
Yeah, I mean, I made more money than I ever could have dreamed of playing in this league. I mean, shoot. And then, the goal is still to make more money, but I just had enough of doing it at the expense of my body, my peace and my time.
That's it.
Simple as that.
Drop smite.
Simple as that.
Like you didn't even pick up a pen and paper and say, okay, if I retire next year, then I give them back less.
Oh, no.
None of that.
It wasn't about that. I mean, what they already gave me and shit was, I played half my contract, so they paid me pretty much half my contract. So I was like, shit, I'm good to go. I'm surprised they came at me like they did because, at the end of the day, I'm saving you money at the end of the day. I come back in there and suit back up, and that hurt the whole organization because you got to pay me. You know what I'm saying? So, don't keep.
So you had to pay. They came back, so you got to pay the. Essentially, we all thought the contract was guaranteed or whatever, but you have to pay back the prorated part of the signing bonus, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at the situation of Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck, he signed a big deal, another $100 million deal. Mm-hmm. He did not even have to pay back anything. The Indianapolis coach decided to say, you know what, we're good. We understand what you went through. We saw what you went through. And us being a good organization, we're going to let you ride out. Did that even, and Detroit on the other hand, for you, they were like, hey, you didn't finish your contractual duties, so we need some of that back. Did that make you bitter in any way?
It didn't make me bitter at all. I was like, good for him. I was bitter. I had been bitter when they came at me sideways, like however long ago that was. But, I just washed my hands with them and told them, I don't have any business with you. I don't want to do anything with you. You have to pay me in order to have me do anything with you. But to see Andrew Luck walk away, I'm like, that's how you're supposed to do it. Right. That just showed they just showed respect. That's all that was. It's just a lack of respect, I feel like, at the end of the day when it comes down. If you know what we went through, if you know what I brought to the organization, I'm like, shoot, why the heck would that even happen? And anybody that has been around Detroit, or know anything about the situation, like, yeah, it's clear to see that, it's an organizational problem.
And then half of that had to be what almost gave you the confidence to say, you know what, I know it's over.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked about Barry Sanders before, but the rumors were swirling like, oh, is Barry gonna come back? Is Barry gonna come back? With you, it was like, is Megatron gonna come back? Like
I was waiting.
We were waiting. I was on the outside, like he's coming back. That had to make you feel like, you know what? I made the right decision.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a part of that, and that's how. I mean, that went into my original decision. I mean, just the way the organization was going. You hear from guys when they come from different teams, like this ain't it. Like I just came from Seattle, but I don't know what y'all doing over here. Like this ain't it. Or like talking about how we were talking about earlier, like just the things that the team does for the players. None of that was had here. So there's like, okay, you hear from other guys all the time, like they don't treat y'all right here. They don't do y'all right. They don't do you right. You shouldn't be doing all this and that. And I don't know any better. I just know what I know. Like you say, until we learned, until I went out and did some consulting and went around to other teams and see how they operate, I don't know any better. And I'm like, dang, we missed out on all that. So,
Yeah.
But 1,964 yards in a season, breaking the all-time great Jerry Rice's record. What went into that season, and how the hell can an organization do anything wrong to a player that has not had any off-the-field issues, has not done anything but be a leader, a pillar in the community for his entire career? How do you turn your back on that?
Well, they thought that they could do that and that I would still come back around. That's what they thought. They thought they could come back and put their hand out and like, hey, you did all this, but we're going to take this back from you because you didn't do this, but y'all don't ever honor any contracts. So I'm just like, okay, that's how y'all treat me. Well, I ain't got nothing to do. That's why I say I wash my hands with them. Even if I don't foresee them coming back and paying me back ever. So I just at the end of the day, I don't care. I did my thing. I left my mark. I did my things, and I was happy with the way I handled myself throughout the process. And to your point, that's another part about your brand is keeping your nose clean. I fought my ass off. Not fight my ass off, but I just try to do right to keep my nose clean, and that's a big part of having that brand and being able to have or not. Well, it contributes a lot to having success after football if you keep that brand, nice and clean versus what we were talking about earlier, having antics and acting out on social media as some of our, as some players we talked about earlier. You can't do those kind of things. Who wants to be around that? Nobody wants to be around. Nobody wants to have that in their organization. Nobody wants to have that on their team. Talking about after football.
The positive side to that record-breaking year, what was different in that year, or was there anything different?
I think that we just got off to such a great start that early on, the rumors or the words start pushing around that you're on pace to do this and that. And I think that my coach, Sean, Sean was like, we're going to get it. Sean wanted it more than I did, I think, at the time. And I was going to work my butt off to get it, but I know Sean saw it. Sean saw the pace I was running on, and I was having 200-yard games and stuff like that.
I remember.
Was that the same year you lit up the Falcons here?
Yes, I broke the record that game.
That game, right? And I remember your father coming onto the field.
Dope. Yeah, that was dope.
Listen, my father passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful that he was able to see me play my first 3 years in the league, and I did a lot for him. I retired him. But when I saw your father walk out onto the field in Atlanta, right?
It was in Detroit.
In Detroit. Y'all was playing against
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. But, man, just take me through the range of emotions, what it meant, him coming on the field, you hugging him, and they stopped the game for you.
It was huge, man, because in order to get there, I had to have like a 200-yard or 180 or 175 that game in order to even get close. So going to the game, my coach Sean was like, "It's the game. We're gonna do it today." And he was just Sean was just so free about it, just talking it up. And I was just like, "Dang, coach, like goodness gracious." I'm gonna go out here and try to get it, but dang, that's 200. You can't do that every game. They can put this cloud over me the whole game, and they kind of shut you down a little bit. So. But he spoke it, and from the jump, from the first drive, we came out just humming and bawling, and Matthew was feeding me, and to have my dad come down at that point later on in the game, I think it was for him, I feel like it was more of a manifestation, just like, this is all my hard work, not that I'm not his only kid, obviously, but just seeing me, his kid, I know I can imagine if I saw my kid, having these great feats, I would be overcome with emotion. I don't even know what the emotion. They'll probably be crying. You know what I'm saying? So I know he always break down. He probably shedding a tear out there on the field. And I know that the moment was awesome for him, but it was more so awesome that we're playing the home team, playing the Falcons at the crib, and so all that went into it, man. It was a heck of a feat.
That was dope, man. And we had Roddy White on, fellow receiver.
Yeah.
On the first episode of Behind the Mask podcast. And I said you guys played in the age that I call the golden era of receivers. From when, when I started to, probably when you ended, there was the all-time greats were there. And you were alongside T.O., who you said, Randy Moss, Andre Johnson, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith, Larry Fitzgerald. But you were on record saying, I'm the best in the league. Why did you feel that way when you had so much other talent everywhere you looked, every week that you played?
Honestly, I just felt like I was doing everything that everybody else was doing. I could do it better. From the way I caught the ball with my hands.
Dropping the mic.
How many times you gonna drop the mic today? Jeez.
I mean, I got to see guys. I got to see guys when we watching film. So we watch a lot of film. So I see the guys. I see them running their routes. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this much more crispy than that right there.
Crispy.
I'm going up. I'm trying to moss folks. I'm trying to moss multiple folks. I don't get pride. If it's one person, all right. If it's two, that's cool.
One ain't enough.
If it's three, then we can. Yeah, you're on the poster. But yeah. So I just took pride in doing those kind of things, having those big plays and stuff like that.
And you feel arguably Hall of Famer.
Oh man, I don't know how that would go. I mean, people might say I didn't play long enough or whatever, but
how do you feel?
Oh yeah, I was definitely one of the best to do it. I ain't saying I'm the best, but shit, yes, one of the best talents to play receiver in the game.
We agree.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
You telling people.
Appreciate it.
Wholeheartedly. I mean, we ain't bringing no damn locker room talk at Behind the Mask. We ain't bringing no slap dicks on the Behind the Mask podcast.
It's real deal.
It's real deal. Yeah. But, when you look at the competition and you look at a lot of other guys who had success playing the receiver game, take me through when you walk up to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Okay.
You set up and you turn your head and you look to read the coverage. What DBs now do you remember looking at that you said, you know what? This guy is pretty damn good, and I respect this game.
It's going to be a long day. Okay, there's not many, but there's a couple. Only I say there's not many because I never got a whole lot of just man-to-man without the safety over top. So, right. But one person that nobody liked on our team, any receiver, was Al Harris for Green Bay Packers. Al Harris was a nasty, in-your-face, trying to slap you every play. When you get away with the hands to the face and all that, that was him every play. So there, Roy hated playing against Al because Al's in your face trying to give you the business. So then my second year, Al started playing me a little more. I'm like, damn, Roy, I got him.
Why you didn't keep following?
So he started coming over. But I think that playing Al in my first 2 years really set me up too. I mean, along with my coach and all my upbringing, but that kind of set me up for the rest of my career because I understood like, okay, if I got to go up against somebody like this, if this is what it's going to be like every week in the NFL, I need to tighten up. I got to get right. I got to get just as nasty as he is right now. And from that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to go around from the jump, set the tone, get in these boys' face, hem them up, grab them, let them know what's up, from the jump. And that's how I really carried myself from that point on. And from there, nobody really just followed trail and really gave problems. But I like Patrick Peterson because he's one that will actually go on that island. If I go, a lot of guys, if I go outside, they'll stay with me. If I go in that slot, though, they're going to go back. They're going to stay outside.
They don't want that smoke.
They don't want that slot. That slot is too many. It's a freeway go. On the outside, you got that sideline as a defender, too. Yeah. But you're in that slot. I can go any which way. I can go deep, short. I can go wherever. So you got to be a real, true man corner. And not many people follow like Pat Peterson. He going to follow you. I got to respect him for that a lot.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Who was one of the defensive backs that talked a little trash? He was like, you know what? I'm gonna give him the business. Anytime I go up against him, he's getting it.
I couldn't stand playing against what's his name? Cedric. What's Cedric last name? He played with the Vikings. Number 23. Cedric.
Did he go to Ole Miss?
Possibly.
No, he ain't go to Ole Miss. Why I gotta be Ole Miss?
Was he a corner?
Yes. Yeah.
No, he didn't go to Ole Miss.
Okay. Well, it's only because like he talks so much trash, and it finally like it's always tough playing the Vikings. They're a good team. But there's the last time we played against each other, we had an overtime game. He was talking mad cash when we went to overtime and stuff like that. And the game ended up ending on a Matthew Stafford fadeaway like 50-yard bomb. that dude's like tracking. He's on my pass, pulling me down, catch that thing fingertips. You know, I got up, pumped up, do some punches and shit. And then Jason Hanson came in and sealed and won the game the next play with a field goal in overtime. So that's one guy that I was like, oh, I can't wait to give him the business because he's always talking. He would never shut up. But he was good. He was good competition. I can't say that. He was good competition. But nobody else really talked too much trash.
Smoot, were you around with Smoot? Was there? Fred Smoot?
I don't think
He was on the Vikings late and then the
yes, he was there, but I don't think I really crossed with him too much. I told you who hit me the hardest.
Actually, let's talk about that.
Talk about that because we had him on there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So London Fletcher, man, he probably hit me.
Man, Fletch didn't hit you. I don't even want you to give Fletch that credit right now.
Well, he just caught me right
now.
He caught me right though, man.
See,
I was to run the shallow route 5 yards deep across. He caught me like both feet off the ground, and I'm catching the ball. He literally hit me 5 yards that way, and I got up and I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm done for the day. I don't want to play. Like, I'm good. I just got in a major car accident. I need to go sit down.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he didn't say nothing. He just kept playing. I was like, dang, well, he didn't know what he just did? The bodily harm he just did?
He said, "You like, Martin, I don't want to play no more."
Straight up. Yeah, man. I ain't never been hit like that. I've been hit good, but like he hit me so it just. And London ain't the biggest dude, but he just caught me so right, man. Good.
He got that leverage.
He got that leverage.
Man.
That's what it is. His little short dump truck. Fletch.
Sound like Stephen Tully. Yeah,
that's my dog. So we mess with each other like that. Man.
Yeah.
In 2012, I remember reading this Sports Illustrated article. We coming off of just you got hit. In 2012, I remember you saying, I misused the terms nerve damage and concussion. I'm assuming that's why we on Behind the Mask because I'm assuming like maybe you just you want to kind of cover something up for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm asking because like clarify exactly what you meant
100%.
on that.
I don't remember exactly the play, but I remember what happened. You know, I've been concussed. We played. I mean, just really, I feel like over the last however many years, really. People have really been paying attention to concussions, but you think about how long we played and how many concussions I done have. I mean, who knows how many? But God willing, it ain't too many. But in that particular situation, I remember I got hit. I might have been playing the Vikings. I don't know. Like I hit over the middle field, got smacked, went down. If this is the same situation, I got up and kind of went back down a little bit. My homie helped me up, So came off the field. I kept playing, because this happened before. Kind of blank out. Not blackout where I'm just stretched out in the field, but you're like, okay, you got stars. I got hit really good. Yeah. I'm going to shake it off. I know I'll be good in like a minute. I'll be good. So I used the word concussion. I got banged up. I got a concussion. And they was like, oh, no, this is literally right before a couple years before the movie came out, Yeah. So the turmoil had already started with people finding out that the NFL was withholding this stuff. So when that came out, they're like, no, you got to take that back. This is the ownership. It came down for ownership. You got to take that back. And I'm like, I'm not taking it back. I know what happened to me. Y'all don't know. Y'all just doing this for the pub. And I didn't write that story. They wrote that story.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't write that story. I didn't backtrack that. I told him I'm not signing off on that.
And that came from the Lions.
Yeah. I didn't write that.
Damn.
Man, you talk
so
about
all that stuff. It's the reason this stuff was coming out. This is before all that stuff came out. So it's just like
And it was back then. It was so like the whole concussion protocol. From what I recall, like you would get get dung and then everything might go black or stars or whatever, and then you get to the sideline and they're like how you feeling? And
holding three fingers in your face.
Yeah, as a gladiator, you want to go back out.
What's your name? Batman.
Right. But they ask your name, and of course you know your name, and they be like, you know where you at? Shit, there's 70,000 people around me. Hell yeah, I know what the fuck I'm at. It's a football game. I'm playing the game. What day of the week is it? Chances are it's Sunday.
Yeah.
What quarter is it? And you like,
That's true. That's true.
Right? You just look up because it says it all on the big ass jumbotron. Third quarter. So
you might can ask me that though when I'm not concussed, and I'd be like looking around. But
yeah. So I mean, it's easy to pass because again, you're a gladiator going back to it. But as you said, as soon as you want to go out there and say no, this is what happens. They want you to kind of backtrack, and that's not fair at all. Yeah. You know what I mean? 100%. So guys got to really take accountability for their health. And you were talking about that. So I know one of the things that you're getting into now, and you mentioned, and you're very vocal and public about, is how you dealt with the concussion, how you dealt with the injuries over the years. So talk briefly about that.
Yeah, I used to. I did say in that article, that I smoke cannabis after every game, and I did not say after every game because logistically you can't do it after every game. You got to fly. So if it's a home game and I get home, I'll probably partake if I'm not knocked out, sleep, or drugged up off of off what they give you. So yes, that was accurate, and that led to me being a part of the cannabis industry. Before that, there was a couple steps that got me into that, but I understood the healing properties from the cannabis plant. I feel like not at an early age, but while I was playing, and it kind of some of my ventures afterwards and some of the athletic activity I partook in after playing football, like dancing. My ankles would swell up all the time, and then my knees, and I couldn't really do what I needed to do. So my buddy gave me a little CBD topical, and from that point on, I was like, "Oh crap!" I knew this stuff was good, but I really know now that there's something to this plant. And from that point on, I'm in the business. I'm in the cannabis industry. We're all behind finding cures and solutions for players, right now, not even just players, it's veterans, soccer players, hockey players, that have these kind of brain injuries. And, us with our partnership and with what we're doing with Harvard, we're really trying to find real solutions.
And it's Primitive, right?
Primitive is the brand, yes.
And then what went into the name and what went into you?
We call it a Primitive because from the beginning of time, there's been a plant here, and this plant has had these healing powers, and it's been used for ages, but over the last however 50 many years, it's been criminalized. So that kind of stopped all the research, and that's criminal in itself because as I see from Harvard, there are some real solutions that this plant is bringing, and not to put anything out there, but there's things that they're finding that this thing can help with cancer. CBD and the different cannabinoids from this plant. So that's a whole nother discussion that we get into. But I'm a believer, and that's why I'm passionate about the industry that I'm in.
You talk about being in the cannabis industry and being able to help and recover, especially while you were playing, sustaining concussions. You have 2 boys, correct?
Yes.
If your boys came to you today, which I'm sure they have, I want to ask you what did you tell them when they wanted to say, like, Daddy, I want to play football? Do you have any reservations, understanding and knowing now how the game used to be when you and I came in versus how it is now with all of the rule changes? Now everybody knows about, the deadly effects of concussions.
I mean, a lot of my concussions, probably half of them came from the ground. So ain't nothing you can do about that. I mean, contact, when you got that much weight, just laws of physics, it's going to, your brain is going to hit your skull, concussion, boom.
We always talk about the transition.
Yeah.
The transition.
Sure, yeah.
So now that you're done and you're very comfortable, you're at peace with your decision, what are you doing now? Like, what have you transitioned into now that really kind of fills the void of you staying busy all the time?
Yeah. So they say, like, when you're playing football, you never want to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You got to be all in, But, I knew I was going to retire that last year. And leading up to that, I had a lot of teammates in my locker room that had very business-focused type people, like a Ryen Broyles from Oklahoma, huge into real estate. And Dominican Sue, I had a really, really strong business mind. So seeing these guys in the locker room, doing their business thing on the side, I'm like, I ain't even about to retire yet. This is probably 3-4 years before I did. But I'm like, damn, I need to start thinking about this realistically because there's a whole lot of life left to live.
Right on.
So to that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some real estate. I started doing some real estate. I was renting out a crib in Michigan, and I'm like, dang, okay, this ain't paid it off itself. In a rather quick amount of time. Create some mailbox money.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into real estate. Was doing some things with my boy Rob. He played offensive guard for us for like 4 or 5 years in Detroit, but Seattle prior to that. And he was taking me around. We were doing a couple projects in Detroit because the market was awesome there, and we ended up having an opportunity to go over to London to be the spokesman kind of for the Italian Super Bowl. They play American football over there, and we went over there, and this is just kind of came out of nowhere through a friend. They wanted to have our faces over there and be involved, have some real NFL players, and we loved it. And on the way back, we was like, man, we could keep creating opportunities like this, and one, either push our brand, or just create a greater network than we have now. And at the time, we just like, okay, well, we need to come up with a company and do this and find a way to give back and all that at the same time, and create wealth for ourselves at the same time. So we're like, okay, well, let's when we get done, we're done playing. So we're like, what do we love most about when we played? And we love the camaraderie. We didn't. I mean, we love the grind because we know what we're going to get from it, but it's the camaraderie and being around the guys. So how do we do something around that? And we're doing real estate. We're getting deal flow. We're having opportunities that come up. Let's create a company called Locker Room Consulting. And that was to one, create opportunities for players, whether we source them or we create them ourselves, and to be able to help guys, give them counsel, put them in a good place. 'Cause we got a great counsel from like lawyers to CPAs, people that can help them make sure all their life stuff is in order. Like you got your trust and stuff, you got your family and stuff like that taken care of.
That extensive, huh?
Yes, you got to have that, because these are things that I found out like while I was playing. I'm like, wow, this should have been done yesterday. In case something happens to me, how do I take care of my family instead of the government just coming and taking half the check? I need those insurances in place. So to be able to give that to the players, give them counsel, give them an opportunity if they want to invest, because this is what we're doing. These opportunities exist, and from that, we're doing our real estate thing in Locker Room Consulting. We get into the cannabis industry because we're buying properties, and one of them happens to be in a green zone. And we couldn't flip it for what we knew it was worth at the time. So we decided, hey, I think we know what a good team looks like. We could put together a good team or just the right people and make this thing turn. And so that was 2 years ago when we started that project. And now we have a vertically integrated business. We're licensed in Michigan. Our cultivation just went online. That'll be the first thing operating, and then it will come with processing and retail. We got 2 retail operations in Lansing and Niles, Michigan, over there by Notre Dame. So those are the opportunities that we're creating. That locker room is kind of like that led to the Primitive, our new company, the Primitive Group. But because the locker room, we still do our real estate. We got real estate project going and stuff. But really, all the time and attention is going to getting our cannabis brand up and running and getting our infrastructure behind that up and running. We're not going to be the guy that gets money just to go say that I'm using this CBD and yada yada yada. No, we're all in. We got the partnership with Harvard to show that they're not going to partner with nobody. That's not criminal. I think it's more so just they love our professionalism, our process, and that they know that we have a brand to protect. And they know that they have a brand to protect. So that's one thing that helped us meet in the middle, and we're creating a win-win situation by having their validation and us being able to do some key research in the field in their phytomedicine in this institute, which is phytomedicine, plant medicine. That's all it is. And cannabis is a big part of that. So that's why we're partnered up with them, and that's great for our brand. It's great for the things that they're accomplishing right now, the trials and stuff that they're doing. And at the end of the day, it'd be good for humanity.
Dope, man. Dope. And do you find that the current players in the league are receptive to it, or the guys that just retired are receptive to it? More
so the guys that are retired, because they're not under the umbrella of the NFL and the testing, and because it's not necessarily that you're invested in it. It means that you're partaking in it, but right. People might feel it's not a good look. It might not be a good look.
But and I mean to cut short. The crazy thing is that guys was smoking. You know what I'm saying? They were smoking and they were partaking, but they obviously you don't want it to be public for whatever reason. But in terms of an investment opportunity, that's successful.
I didn't want it to be public.
Right.
Like the only reason it became public for us is because we got denied our first attempt at getting licensed in Michigan. Okay. When that happened, it's like the whole world came down. It was like, hold up, we just did all this work. We built this beautiful cultivation. It wasn't built at the time yet, but we're in the process. And they just denied us our license. And guess what they denied us our license off of?
What?
They said I had too many traffic citations.
Man.
Come on.
So long story short, that they have Laura, licensing and registration affairs. They're over tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana. So they had this board. They should be making the decisions, but they had a board outside of that actually made the decision. So the board was corrupt. They're taking money. They're doing stuff like counseling people for no reason. Whatever the agenda was, governor caught wind of it. And after we we separated, everybody went through and got their license on their own. And then they gave us our license unanimously. After that was seen, it was like, okay, well, y'all did this for nothing. So the governor counseled out the board, and now it's actually just Laura who's making those decisions, who it should have been, because anything extra just breeds corruption.
Right.
What was it speeding? Cause you were fast on the field,
I
know you were fast off the field. I know going around the curve, that off ramp going on, the access ramp going on the 85. He was pretty fast.
Let's talk about it.
I like horsepower. I do. I had model cars growing up. I've always been a car fan. I got a Ferrari. It's gone now, but I love cars, man. I love cars.
So what you rolling in now? Like, what's your latest toy that you really enjoy driving?
My favorite is probably I got a Challenger Demon. I never thought I would buy American, but it was a limited edition. They only made 3,000 of them. It's a 1,000 horsepower whip. It handles tight. I had it tuned by Hennessy.
Yeah,
it's a beast.
So the torque is just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Did you drive it today?
No, it's too wet. You don't drive it when it's wet. That's just that rear wheel. No, I'll play it. Nah,
you won't be in the trees somewhere.
Nah, exactly. You can only have the fun you need to have with that on on an airport runway. Yeah.
Man, how many mics you gonna drop, man? Shit, man, I don't think we got no more. Driving on an airport runway. So you've done that. What's that about?
No, I said that's the only way you're gonna have all the fun you can have with that.
Oh,
man.
just
It's
the open
driving,
space.
Yeah.
I know your company, Primitive Care. We're going to make sure. How do we find out more about Primitive? What online? What's the? How do we find out more?
Yeah, we got our splash page. It should be coming. If it's not up, it'll be up soon. But it'll be primitivegroup.com. So that'll be it eventually. But when I come back on, everything will be live, and we'll have probably not have dispensaries open, but we'll be close to having those open as well.
Well, you know what? This is what I really see. I think we should we've taken the Behind the Mask podcast to London. We've taken it to Auburn, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
The next stop needs to go up to Michigan so we can we can have a few samples and possibly even partake.
Come and sample the product. Yes, y'all can be my quality control. There you go.
Nah, man, we appreciate the time, man.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the time. I always appreciate your 2 cents.
My 2 cents. Gotta give it.
It's all good.
Bruh, whenever you back in town or however we can help you, let us know and we'll make sure we make magic happen.
Appreciate it.
So
love it. It was a great time.
Behind the mask.
Great time.
My man.
Let's go behind the mask.